exactly.
something that you wouldn't necessarily accept when you're under. But yeah, like you said as well, Dick, it's when you're on your own, you haven't really got a filter though as well. So
Yeah.
there's been times when I've maybe put out stuff that wasn't 100%, or I've kind of sent in feature verses and that I'd listen back to when it comes out a month later, or even like a year later, because my process is a lot more like diary mode. Like I like to just churn stuff out, and kind of, I don't do a lot of re-recording or focusing on songs. My wife says I should focus on like a song more, but I just love the recording process, and I just love like just churn them out and then having a product at the end and kind of going, that's satisfied the whole urge of that whole project. I can put it aside, chill for a week, and then I'll come back and do some more in a bit. Like,
so is that a thing? Like, once a project's done, is it like kind of out of sight, out of mind? Then you won't really go back and listen to it that much. You'll just be that's done.
For the first week, you're kind of listening it through other people's ears, aren't you? You kind of like, someone will say, "Oh, I really liked your album." You'll be like, "Oh, I wonder why I started to listen to it through that person's ears." So you kind of then go listen back to it and think, "Oh yeah, he would have probably liked that, or they would have liked that." But then I don't touch it. I won't listen to it again, probably sort of after that. But then recently I like going back to stuff that's almost like 2 years old. Like I've been listening to the grown up stuff again and kind of being like, I'm still happy with that. I'm still still quality shit. Like, there's no point on any of those albums where I'm like, oh yeah, I did phone that in, or I didn't work on that as well as I should have. So in that aspect, like compared to how I used to be before COVID, I was very much like, fucking throw it out. But now I do have a bit more quality control because I'm conscious of not having an external quality control. Do you know what I mean? I start being a bit, especially with the internet, and you're like, and especially with the current climate being a bit so touchy and things can kind of be read the wrong way. I'm not quite so like say something that I'm going to cringe about sort of a year later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever like before you put it out? Do you ever like send it to like a close friend, or like you said, your wife saying focus on stuff? Do you let them listen and just go, right, this isn't what it should be, or something like that?
Yeah,
and take
you
it
know
on board,
what I used to, and then I started to think, because it's kind of your preference as well. Like a lot of the songs, I feel like sometimes, like your own personal preference, you are kind of making it for yourself, and you if you like the sound of it, then I'm kind of happy. Like, I think that's probably how it should go out, as long as it's not hissy as fuck and I haven't noticed it. And I feel like this far on, I'm not, because I'm quite used to producing my own stuff and I know the sound of my own voice and stuff. I'm quite used to it not sounding hissy as fuck and everything sounding quite pristine as I can get it.
Yeah.
So, I found I'd mostly, you wouldn't get negative feedback, but you'd get annoying feedback. You know what I mean? You get someone say something that you're like, I don't agree with that, but now I'm going to think about it all the time when that album comes out. Like, so it's
some
almost
some people don't appreciate as well.
It's almost more harm than good, especially before it's come out, because then you're kind of like, or I don't know, just something that maybe you were quite precious about. Sometimes I find it would be like something that you were like, no, I was well into that, like, and someone else was like, oh, it sounds a bit like, it's like, then you also realize that when it comes out, it could be the track that you liked the least, that someone's like, oh my god, that track was incredible.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. Like I made tracks and I've been like, oh, this is like my magnus opus track, and people have gone, it's okay. But this other track, this is great. And I'm like, I spent 2 minutes on that. Like, I wrote it in 2 minutes. I recorded it one take. It was shit. It was just like a filler.
Didn't think about it at all. Like,
and they're like, it's fucking amazing, bro. Like, cool.
So that's another reason why I've kind of stopped. I stopped kind of giving it to people to listen to, but also, like, kind of feel quite confident to just release it out there, because it's like, I know it's kind of, sounding good, the vocals are good, the drums are loud, you know what I mean? So I'm quite, as far as other people's tastes and preferences, like, when you get older, you realise you've got no control over that shit. So it's like, there's no point banging your head against the wall about it.
And do you still work with other producers, or have you just gone solely?
So basically I got in a bunch of beats for this album because I did that before, and I like, and what comes with that, sometimes I just feel like I make the beats that kind of make my voice sound good. And sometimes producers are just thinking about making their beat sound good.
Yeah,
and
very
it's
true.
like, and you'll get it and you'll be like, oh my God, this beat's incredible. And then I'll write to it for like 2 months and just not be able to rap on it properly. Like, or maybe not, it just doesn't sound as good as me on my own beats, you know.
Yeah, there's just that little one thing that's just missing. You can't tweak just correctly enough.
Well, and it's also you don't want to tweak it because it's their beat and stuff, and it's like you're kind of, it's almost like you have to work around their framework rather than creating your own framework. And I like creating my own. I like being a bit more free with it. And I got a couple of beats for this album from a couple of producers that I really like, and I do work with quite a lot, but they just weren't clicking. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes, like, just a tone of a vocal just wasn't working with a note in there. And there's a trick that I do on my beats as well, which is I basically strip out a lot of the main samples for my verses, so you can actually hear what's going on in the verse, and you can hear the technical ability, because that's my main thing, is the technical sort of delivery of it. So I feel like if you've got loads of samples in there, which most of the time our producers will do because they want their song sounding full. But for a vocalist, it's like, you know what I mean, I've got to compete with like some epic strings or something like that.
And it's hard to tell that.
I just strip it out, and on my own beats I strip it all out, and then I just bring it back for the chorus, because the chorus is repetitive. But with the verses, it will just be drums and bass, and you'll notice that in a lot of kind of where I've started to find my stride, and the songs are sounding much better. It's because I'm doing that. Like,
I worked on a project years and years ago by a producer named El Raw from Cardiff. Shout out to El Raw. He just sent out just drum loops. He was like, "This is all you're getting.
Nice.
This is like a concept. Write to this.
Yeah,
I'll sort out the rest later." And it's a fucking fantastic project. Like how it was created is amazing. And like you saying that, stripping out everything, just going back to the bare bones of it is it's something really, really interesting to do and work at that way. I think it's like it's not the organic way that people would do it, but it's a fucking really clever way. And
because I feel like you're not following anything then, you know what I mean? It's like, even like any sample that's going on, that's kind of like the main riff. So it's kind of whatever it is, guitar, strings, whatever. And most people sample-based producers will, because I tend to sort of build my songs up, like I'll maybe have a riff going, but I like to sort of build up with kind of layers of strings and matching chords and stuff. But when you're working with just samples, you can't really just strip that out unless the bass and drums is really strong. So I see why they wouldn't want to do that. They want their beat to sound full and stuff, but sometimes you're competing with it too much, and it's 100%,
man. Like, and it's difficult to say as well, isn't it, to a producer that you need to do this and you need to.
Well, it shouldn't be.
That. I know it shouldn't be, but sometimes doing it the other way.
I feel like I could, but it's almost like with one of these producers I'm talking about in specific, his beats are so amazing that it's almost like I'm trying to follow it on this like path, but it's kind of not sounding as structured, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in control of the vocal when I'm doing, when you strip it down and you've just got the bass and drums and maybe one little sample happening, you're in control of your vocals a lot more. So and you're not kind of like I say, kind of meander with something else, because then that's when your tones start sounding off. And and I'm quite into sort of blending tones, and sort of, especially on this album, I was kind of finding notes that I like my voice with, you know what I mean? So I feel like you have that kind of control when you're producing your own stuff. You can kind of really mold it to what your voice is doing.
And you can tone down some of the instruments that might normally drown things out, because there's all about frequencies and shit, isn't it? So you can take down certain frequencies where.
But that's it. One of my producers like sends me beats that are fully mastered as well, so it's kind of like you are really
that's a rarity.
Yeah, so it's almost like it sounds epic, and you're like, I wish I could rap to this beat, but it's just like I'm just gonna get lost in the mix, in the in the flow of it all. Like I'd feel like because I also nowadays, like I do try and think more about the voice as an instrument, and it's kind of like, and the flow pattern is just like kind of percussion. So I kind of always try and match that percussion. And